I'd like to call the Board of Selectmen's meeting. I'd like to call the June 23rd, 2021 Board of Selectmen's meeting to order at about 6:19. Mr. Town Manager, do we have a need for a non-public?
Good evening, Madam Chairman. We do not.
Okay, we have no minutes, so I'm going to open up the first public hearing. It is the Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for the Wolfeboro Children's Center to hold a ferry walk along the Bridge Falls Path out to Witten Neck Road on July 3rd, 2021, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Hold on, Linda. Jake, do you have this live on the GoToMeeting? Okay.
Are we okay? I can go on? Jim?
I think we can go. I think Amy will be able to hear, hopefully, through my mic, which is now on.
Okay. So I've opened up the public hearing. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to this temporary event permit? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Board members, do you have any questions or concerns? Hearing none, can I have a motion?
Move to issue a temporary event permit to the Wolfeboro Children's Center to hold a ferry walk along Bridge Falls Path out to Witten Neck Road on July 3rd, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Second.
Luke, I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All righty. I'd like to open up the next public hearing. It's the Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen to consider a temporary event permit for the American Legion Post 18 to host an activity tent in Cape Park from 7/2/2021 to 7/5/2021 from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Is there anybody who'd like to speak to this event? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Board members, do you have any questions or concerns?
No.
Hearing none, can I have a motion?
I'll move to issue a temporary event permit to the American Legion to put a tent, approximately 9 by 16, I believe, in Cape Park from 7/2/2021 to 7/5/2021.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Luke seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have time for public input.
Hi, I'm Tom Southern, commander of the American Legion, and I just want to thank everybody, the community support for these events we've got coming up, 4th of July. COVID fatigue has just worn everybody down. So I think we're looking at all these activities as a breakout, a celebration. We're going to cut loose, and we're going to have a good time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have no bulk vote. We'll have no appointments. And next, we're on to new business. Consider an additional 5-minute docking space at the town docks. Jim, take that?
Yeah, good evening. So last board meeting, we had a discussion regarding smaller commercial vessels coming into the town docks and safety concern about them using the actual commercial dock because of the height compared to the boat. So I did draft up some language which I sent to the board, which could address this. The takeaway on this is there are other items within this ordinance that really should be addressed which I've been working on, and we have the time to notice a hearing for this for the July 7th Board of Selectmen's meeting so that we can make these amendments to the ordinance. Right now, one of the options that is on the table is, as discussed, would be to create a second 10-minute loading, unloading area, which would be adjacent to the municipal electric boat, keep the current unloading and unloading adjacent to the fireboat, and make that spot also for the smaller vessels, commercial loading and unloading. I did send a sketch out of that to the board for review. Any feedback from this point on that information?
Does anybody have any comments?
I think that's basically what we had talked about anyway at the last meeting.
Yeah, the only comment I have, I want to make sure that both of these spots, 10 minutes, are for residents also to drop off, that we need to be clear about that. And the only thing we are not talking about anything for the docking of the Millie B. We're leaving, and everybody's agreed that that's going to stay as is?
Yep.
Okay.
And to tie that together, I have had a conversation with Luke. I have also had a conversation with Dave Ford. We are looking at that other commercial dock space and what it would require to create another drop-down space to make that dock, which right now is really unusable for smaller vessels, to make it user-friendly for those smaller vessels. So I think that that's an option that we are looking at that could be helpful to us going forward in future years.
My only concern about that is the amount of distance. Sometimes that gets very narrow as you come out. And if we did that, I would also like to know whether you're going to be able to keep the 10-minute parking the other side of the fireboat.
Yep, and Dave's going to get some, once we get to that point, some engineered drawings to give a conceptual idea of what that would look like and what the distances would be going forward.
Okay, good.
Linda,
Yep.
when will we be putting a cap on the number of small or commercial vessels come out of our docks? Are we going to get to a point like with hawkers and peddlers license, we allow so many, or are we going to keep accommodating and accommodating and accommodating?
I think that's part of what we will need to address when we do this changes to the ordinance. I think that's a good question. I think we're seeing it now. We have two this year. A year ago or two, we had another group, Explorer, who wanted to come into the dock. So I think that, good point, we should probably look at saying how many of those boats we'd even allow to come in, and whether we should have a cap on that.
Got that noted as, should we have a cap for commercial vessels coming into the docks?
Is there any other discussion on the docks? Are we all in agreement that we're going to put a notice in for a public hearing on July 7th? Any concerns, questions?
Well, this would be just for this season.
Oh, I thought we
Was
were
it going to change the ordinance that night then?
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
thought. Well, let's get clarity on here.
Yep.
Are we doing something just for this season, or do we want to change the ordinance and update it? When I was reading through, one of the things, it talked about the commercial docks being Dock A and B. Well, Dock A and B to us are down the other end. So to me, there seems to be some work on the ordinance itself. And I saw it as more of a, let's clean it up, get it all put together. But if the board wants to try something for one season and call it a pilot, I don't have a hard time with that.
Oh, let's wait till we get to that point at our next meeting.
Well, it's going to be a public hearing, either.
Right.
Do we want Jim to spend the time to go through it, or do we want him to put something quickly together for this year? I think that's what you're asking us, Jim.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking that we have that one other vessel that wants to come in, and Brian brings up a good point. How many of those are we going to give out? You know, over the years, we give out 2, 3, at the Bell, the Mount, Millie B. So how many more? I agree, Brian, that we probably should have a limit, but are we going to do it this year? Or are we going to just deal with the one that we have now that we don't really have a space for?
I'm fine doing either, you know, if we're going to look at the whole plan and the whole thing. I mean, we're going to tie the Libby into it and what, you know, the issues down there too. Would that be under wharves and docks and that same, would that play into, you know, that's a bigger animal to deal with all of it. So, I mean, if we can do something for this year, I'm good with doing either way. The ordinance definitely needs work, so whether we do it July 7th or we start working on it, you know, and would that 10-minute parking stay if it goes beyond this year, or if we find out, you know, from Dave Ford and the engineer that we can have another drop-down spot, definitely. Would that spot that we're going to approve for this year stay in the future, or would it move over to that new drop-down? I guess there's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And we could make that change to the ordinance if we did that. My feeling, if we're going to pay for a drop-down dock, that cost should go out to the taxpayers on a warrant article and get the feeling, because they turned down expansion of the town docks. I don't want to, you know, even if it's a small amount of money, I don't want to do it without it going out as a warrant article. So, you know, we have to do a public hearing and then change them. In terms of the commercial use, there's O in our dock and wharf regs anyhow, ordinance, and it says hours of commercial use shall be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday, limit to 2 hours for loading and unloading. So we have something specific. What I found is we have nothing out there that would tell anybody.
Yep.
There's no sign, and there are 7 conditions underneath that O. So, and it also in here, no swimming was part of it. So to me, you know, maybe there's a little bit, but there seemed to me to be a lot already written here. We just aren't telling anybody about it.
And different boats need different times to load and unload. The Mount Washington takes a long time. The little commercial vessels are 10 minutes.
Well, that's interesting, because I went back to our minutes of March, and they said it would take them a half hour to load and unload, and that was part of their...
And we have 15-minute
I'm just
right
saying,
now.
I went back and get that, and that's what they said to us. I can give that to Jim, but that's what they told us. It was our March meeting, and they expressed that to us, that it would take them longer, take them about a half hour.
I have that document that shows that they did express 30 minutes for load and unload. They also reiterated that at the last board meeting. It's my understanding that their vessel can carry up to 9 people. I think that 30 minutes for 9 people might be a little bit excessive. That's why in the original language I put in 20. You should be able to turn that around in a 20-minute time frame.
Yeah, the other thing would be only if they're doing what they said they're doing and not parking at dockside, they do have to move, and they could have to go all the way to the Glendon lot and walk back and forth, and that could take 20 minutes. But I don't know if that's our problem or not.
Correct.
I think what Linda brought up too, I think maybe there are some issues that really need to be dealt with this summer, because we have people swimming at a couple different locations that are dock facilities and not
Yeah, I
and,
saw
and not
again
not
today.
designated swimming areas, and there's no signage even at the town docks that I've seen that says no swimming. And
That was brought to my attention today as well. So.
people are starting to move towards that Bowers and Morena, the beach right there. It's not even town property, but they're crossing down there to get into the water now. I noticed last Saturday. So I think the public hearing is going to be good. We could at least start tackling the issues, and then if we got to expand it, later on, look at it again, we can certainly do that.
Okay, so what we're saying is we're going to take our first run at cleaning up the ordinance and the way the docks are right now, and we can come back and make a change next year. Does that work for you, Dave? Mm-hmm. Okay. The other thing about, I think we're starting to have issues. We have 2 beaches that are restricted to residents only, and I think people are finding other ways to get in the water. Cape Park, Libby Museum. So I think that's part of what we're seeing. I did have a question from Amy on our forum, and are we going to have input just from Wolfeboro citizens, or are we willing to take input from people from other communities? And we need to put that in our advertisement on whether we're going to do just Wolfeboro. I think what we're finding, or at least what I'm seeing that comes through, there are people who have been part of the Governor Wentworth Regional School District whose kids have played together, they've gone to certain beaches, and we're hearing from them. Even one person suggested that we charge people from out of town. I think the reasons why these ordinances came up was the beaches were getting crowded. So all we need to do tonight is say, yes, we will take input, or no, we won't.
I think we should.
Yep, I think we should.
Yes.
Okay, I am too. So there we go. Any other discussion on the swimming docks, et cetera? All right, if not, I'm going to move on. The next item is New Hampshire Rapid Infiltration Basin Site Remediation Project Contract, warrant Article 8.
Yes.
Jim?
So the way the warrant article is worded, it authorizes the Board of Selectmen to sign those documents. There are a lot of documents that come in at different times that need to be signed and returned to the state so that the funds can be accessed and we keep on schedule. This is pretty standard practice to authorize the the town manager to sign this for the Board of Selectmen. And in talking with the state, they said in the future that we could put that language into the warrant article so that it didn't have to come forward. But this would simply authorize, when those documents come in, I can sign them and get them returned to the state, which could turn the money around quicker for us.
Does any selectman have any questions for the town manager? Hearing none, does somebody have a motion for me?
I have one.
Thanks, Dave.
Authorize the town manager, James Pinning, and finance director, Kathy Carpentier, to sign all state revolving fund documents related to 2021 warrant Article 8, Rapid Infiltration Basin Site Upgrade.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Brian seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, the motion carries. Anybody have any other business? I don't see any reason to do committee reports.
Nope.
Town manager, do you have anything? The press isn't here. Is there anybody in the public who would like to give us any public input?
Good evening, everyone. There, I'm on the mic. My name is Martha Cummings. I'm the executive director at the New Hampshire Boat Museum, and I just wanted to come and express our just awareness about the Millie B. dock situation, and just share a little bit of information on the history of that for your knowledge. It was constructed in 1998 by the then Wolfeboro Trolley Company, who owned the Millie B. And we have been using it ever since the Boat Museum purchased not only the boat, but the entire business. And in that purchase and sale agreement was a couple of line items about the use of the town dock, and that we would certainly continue to pay our commercial vessel landing permit. And so that is all I have known about the Millie Bee in terms of it being parked at the dock since I started working at the New Hampshire Boat Museum in 2018. So I just wanted to share that information that we were asked to look up and share for you, share with you, excuse me. Also, if you haven't had an experience on the Millie Bee, we'd love to take you out for a ride. We do promote not only our mission, which is about the preservation and history of the freshwater boating heritage here in New Hampshire, but we're also, you know, talking about Wolfeboro and its local history and really sharing that with all of our visitors who come for a ride on the Millie Bee. So we are a nonprofit. The funds from the Millie Bee go right back into the museum and for our mission. So I think with that, I would also say thank you. Thank you for the privilege of being out there, supporting Wolfeboro, our community and our history, and happy to answer any questions if you'd like to reach out to me. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience who'd like to give us any public input? Hearing none, can I have a motion to it?
Move to adjourn.
Dave Senical?
Second.
Luke second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we're adjourned.